Now let's see how to go over each element of the array. There are two ways we can do that. Let's create an array for this example. Let me create this array with 3 elements at the beginning of the array and another element at the 10th index, so that we have an sparse array with gaps in between. The first way is the regular for loop, which accesses each element through their numeric index. So we can say for where I is equal to 0, I less than my array dot length, I plus plus, then open and close braces, and inside this we can access each element through the index I. So we can access them as my array with subscript I. Alright. As mentioned earlier, some elements of the array may be undefined. So we should ideally check if the value is not undefined and then read the element at that index. Okay. There is another interesting way to access each element, and that is by using the for in loop. If you recall, we have talked about this loop in the section on how to access each property value in an object. And because arrays are objects, we can use the for in loop to access each element. By the way, for arrays it is not the recommended way, and you will see why. But nonetheless, it is interesting to know how can this be used. We can say for where I in my array, then within braces we can write our statements. For now, let's just print the value of I. And here this I will be the available indices in the array. And as you can see, it prints out only those indices for which the element is set. All the other indices are ignored because, as said earlier, this for in loop actually goes over the properties of the array object. Now, this way of looping through the array is not recommended because there are cases where a JavaScript library may add a property to this array. And apart from the indices, you will also get that property, which is not really correct. One check that you may put to avoid this problem is to use the has own property method of the objects. Which checks if a particular property really belongs to that object, or it has been inherited from another object. We will talk more about it in the chapter on object-oriented programming, so don't worry too much about it right now. Just know the pitfalls of using this kind of iteration. To access the element itself, we can use the index as an array subscript.